Well, good morning, Kelowna, Penticton, and Victoria, and we are experiencing some little bit of unseasonable, coolish weather.
Looking a little
I've got
chilly.
my shorts on, then I got my flannel shirt on the top.
Oh,
I don't know.
optimist.
I'm half and half here.
You're an optimist.
Half and half.
Yeah, I found it was just yesterday. The wind was so cold. You know, I started out with shorts in the morning, and it was like, nope, not doing this. I ran back and got on a couple more layers of clothes.
No kidding.
And lucky I did because, man, it was chilly.
It's very chilly, and we're going to talk about the rain last night. But first of all, the tips and plants of the week.
You betcha.
If you want to move some of your spring blooming bulbs, such as tulips and daffs, mark them now with a stick or a flag of some sort. I've been using Ken's irrigation flags. So the garden looks quite nice with the flags all through it.
Little flags.
We have some large, tall tulips in our rockery, and they don't really fit. However, every year that I thought I would get them moved, I can't remember where they were in July when that's the time to move your tulips. So we have some flags up there. So put some flags in there if you want to move tulips. You move them in July. That's a safe time to move them. My plant of the week is one of my favorite trees over the years, the Paul Scarlet Hawthorn. Mm-hmm. Are they ever going at her this year, eh?
Yeah, they don't mind the cold over the winter, and they sure are pretty.
Oh, man. We used to call them May trees. Yeah, we used to call them May trees. But that's the problem. Well, let's talk about that later, too.
Yeah, it's another common name, eh? All right, I also have a tip and a plant this week, and my tip of the week is that with a little bit of this cold weather we're having right now, is a lot of the annuals and vegetables, particularly the warm vegetables. If you're got your tomatoes out early or your peppers, they're not going to appreciate this cold weather. So you might want to put a little tent over them, but not just a regular tent, but some just regular clear poly. Super easy to set up. Anything that just temporary to get us through here a few days of cold weather. And you take advantage of the greenhouse effect. Whenever you have clear plastic, when the sun, even the slightest bit of sunlight goes through it, it turns to heat. And so it'll keep them nice and toasty warm just over the next few days here. So keep those plants warm if you can. All right, now my plant of the week is the peony group, and the peonies are fabulous, and there's some early ones blooming right now. Tree peonies are blooming right now, and a lot of the other peonies are still yet to bloom, and it's just so many beautiful varieties. One of my all-time favorite plants, beautiful, huge blooms. It's eye candy. It's gorgeous. Enjoy those peonies. It's that time of year. All right, remember to check Grower Coach on YouTube and growercoach.com.
Thanks, Ken. And speaking of peonies, my dear friend Lois Bennett, she has a wonderful selection and collection of tree peonies and other and herbaceous peonies as well. Gave me a note, recently emailed, and talked about the damage in the garden from this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a spectacular garden, there's no question about it, but some of the tree peonies are frozen right to the ground. They're coming up at the base. Mm-hmm. The grandiflora magnolia, of course, the two that she has are pretty toasty, but they're going to be fine. They'll come. I'm sure they'll come back.
If we could just get a decent weather, get some decent weather for one winter in a row.
Yeah. I've even got some bloom coming on mine, Ken. So yeah, I think it's going to survive. And anyway, we've talked a lot about the damage in the gardens, and I'm getting constant phone calls from folks wanting to know what's going on with certain plants in the garden. And it's one of these years where you kind of go, oh, it's the winter. Not always. So you got to really investigate because of the massive damage. When somebody calls and says the lilac, she's got a row of lilacs and the leaves are tiny this year, and there's some bloom on it, but very little. Mm-hmm. Lilacs wouldn't be affected by that weather, would they, Ken?
No.
I can't see the lilacs being affected by it. It's something else. So it's easy just to say, well, it's the weather.
Yeah, lilacs have several disorders that affect them, and so and they're not a fast-growing plant. Everybody thinks, oh, lilacs they grow really quick. It's like, no, they don't. They're super slow. You get about maybe 10 to 12 inches a year of growth. It's not very fast compared to things that grow 4 or 5 feet a year. So So they're pretty slow, and when plants are slow, they tend not to be able to fend off diseases. Now, being a tough plant, they don't get a lot of issues, but when they do, they can struggle. So it's just the way, it's like with every plant. Every plant has its ups and downs. They all have their pests or their diseases, except for ginkgos. Ginkgos are still on the list of having little or no pests or diseases. So it's kind of fun that way for ginkgo trees, but it's the only one I think out there. So yeah, it's interesting. Keep an eye, do research, learn as much as you can. Yeah. If you have issues, abiotic issues, which of course are environmental, not pests or diseases, are another factor which can affect any plant at any time.
Well, we've got a caller here. We're going to have our friend Ariel join us for a moment or two here. But I got to talk about something that's quite serious, Ken, after we talk to Ariel. Good morning, Ariel.
Well, good morning, you two. I want to talk something serious, too, because, I'm a mason bee person, right?
Oh, yes.
And guess what? I put my mason bee cocoons out on the 16th of April. Not one of them has hatched.
Well,
not one of them. And I'm just wondering if you've heard anybody else tell you that they're having difficulty with these bees.
One listener that has mason bees and always talks about them is Pam. She may be listening. Yes. Pam, if you want to give us a call and help Ariel with her mason bee thing. I haven't heard too much about it. Have you heard anything, Ken?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any. Usually I see them flying around and identify them, but very few at all. Yeah.
Ariel, we have opened that conversation because I'm sure people are listening and they're going to say, "Oh, we've got mason bees," or "No, we haven't got mason bees." So
I'm grieving.
Yeah. Let's see if we've got some response there.
Okie dokie.
Okay, dear. Thanks.
Bye.
Okay,
thanks for calling. Bye.
Okay, here's the serious thing here. You remember years ago this happened, and it's happened a couple of times since. A gentleman emailed me, texted me or something, contacted me, and said, Don, I have a vegetable garden, and the last 2 years it's just been really, really poor. And he sent me pictures, and right away, it's herbicide damage.
Herbicide, yeah.
And of course, he hasn't put any herbicide on his lawn or anything, nothing around there.
Nope.
So I said, sir, did you buy manure? Well, I used to use manure a lot years ago, and then I stopped. And then 2 years ago, I bought some horse manure. And I said, is that when this issue started? He says, yeah, as a matter of fact, it did.
There you go.
And he sent me pictures, and Ken, I'll show you those pictures. I mean, it's absolute.
Obvious.
So it's grazon, picloram, or picloram is the active ingredient. It is a broadleaf weed killer that farmers will use on the hay fields and kill the broadleaf weeds. It won't hurt the hay. And then the cows or the horses consume that. It has no ill effect on the animals, but when they do their thing, it passes right through. So in their manure is the contaminant, and it lasts up to 2 years in the soil. It's a residual pesticide, herbicide.
Right.
So it's very, very important, folks. If you're buying manure, if you're getting manure, find out from the source. From the farmer. Have you used grazon? Grazon. Grazon. Have you been using grazon to control weeds?
Yeah, there's one other one that's similar to grazon too. Another brand name. But yeah, and what I always used to say was I just avoided horse manure, just period, unless it was really, really old. You know, but because those chemicals will dissipate over time. But still, in a vegetable garden, manures are okay. I tend to trust the bagged stuff that you buy, but do you really even know that, right?
Wouldn't that be bad if that got contaminated with picloram?
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things because it affects all different plants. And that's one thing when you see weird things going on in the garden, weird shapes, leaves being weird shapes or curls or twists or just abnormal growth. And if you see 2 or 3 different plants all affected by the same effect, you know it's got to be, in this case, it would be, I guess they would classify it, it is an abiotic issue, which is a chemical effect. So in this case, it's a tough one. I've always avoided horse manures, and really important, even like mushroom manure is often made with horse manure. And so the question that I have is, where the heck's it coming from, and what are they using on those fields? Because if you think about it, it's what the horse people have to do. Because if the horses start to consume weeds and things that are going to make them sick, like you don't want to be around those veterinarian bills. It's going to be outrageous. So you just don't want the beautiful animals to be affected. So what you need to do is you need to do all your preventative things you can do, keep your stock healthy. And so they're just doing their thing. It's just that, again, from a gardener standpoint, you just have to be a little bit cautious about what's going on out there.
And I suppose if you do buy some horse manure and use it, Dad used to use it in the greenhouse all the time. If you do buy some horse manure and use it in one spot and see the results. And then if it turns out fine, good. But that's one test.
Plant a tomato plant nearby or something because they are the ones that usually show you the symptoms right away.
Tomatoes are right, absolutely, and some of the cucurbits too. The squashes. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more of the Garden Show after this short break. We're back with you on a chilly Saturday morning here in the Okanagan, and I can see it's chilly in both Penticton and in Victoria as well.
Yeah, we do. We don't have the heat we had a week ago.
Yeah,
it was really nice there for a bit. I mean, nice. It was scary that it was so dry, but we did get a little bit of rain. Yeah. I was in a huge hailstorm yesterday, and it was crazy. It really dumped, but a little bit of rain in the last 2 nights.
We
were supposed to get more this week.
We had a downpour last night. Now I'll talk about that, but we've got to talk to Pierce. Good morning, Pierce. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
I have a couple of little quick questions for you. Hopefully it'll be pretty quick. First one is, I've taken out an old 50-year-old cedar hedge that was in bad condition, and I've put in a Spartan juniper hedge about 3 weeks ago. They're small junipers, about 15 inches tall. How much should I water those, John?
Well, at this point in time, when they're young, Pierce, they're going to need regular watering because they don't have the roots outreach to get the ambient moisture that happens around them. You got to water them right at the pot, right at the base of the tree, and keep them moist. The best thing would be just to maybe once every 3 to 4 days or so give them a good soaking with a hand soaking.
Yeah, okay, that's exactly what I'm doing, and I have a moisture meter, so I'm keeping an eye on that.
Good idea.
The second question is then, when should I put fertilizer on them?
Oh, you could use some water-soluble fertilizer right away, like 30-10-10, tablespoon in a gallon. Give them each a gallon as you go through with a watering can.
And how frequent?
Once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Push them. It's water soluble, yeah.
Push them.
Yeah, and you can get a little bit of growth on them early on. Just hold off once you're into the summer, like into July. Then you want to cut back on any fertilizations. Let the plants slow down and get ready for winter.
Okay. And the other question is quickly, I have a hydrangea, and I have been watering it because things are so dry. I'm noticing there's a few small little burns on the edges of 1 or 2 of the leaves. Is that too much or too little water?
Usually burning on the edge of the leaf is associated with the root system. So there's something going on in the roots, whether it is a water system or it could be it's not too much water at this point of the game.
Okay.
But it could be just from drying out even once. It doesn't, they're pretty durable plant typically. There could be something else going on there. Very hard to say. It's something to do with the roots though when it's on the edge.
What type of hydrangea?
Gosh, I don't know. It's a small flowering hydrangea.
A pink or a blue? That one?
It's a blue.
Okay, that's the macrophyllum.
And that could be even just cold. It's difficult to... Was this one that was from previous years? It came through the winter?
Yeah, it came through the winter all right.
Yeah.
I cut the stems off it that were all dead, and it's a new growth, new nice growth coming on the bottom.
No,
it's just showing a little sign on just one or two of the leaves.
No, and that's probably associated with the frost and the cold, because some of the buds that even survived the winter, they were down below, like low to the ground. Some of them got just nipped a bit by freezing temperature, and they're basically... pre-damaged, before they even open up. And then when they open up, they'll show a little bit of an edge burn as well. But they should be fine. Always watch for the new growth, and you should be good.
And a little fertilizer on those too, I guess. On that one too.
Yeah, a little bit's always good, sure.
And the last question is, I just dug up my garden, and it's so dry. Should I give it a good soaking before I start planting in it?
Absolutely. You want to charge it, get the water. You want to charge that soil, get it moist. And as a grower caller phoned last week, the key thing is to get the moisture into there, because it is a reservoir and it will hold the moisture. Once you get it moist, and then especially if you put some mulch or something to hold that moisture in there, it'd be good. But you got to wet it down. Yep.
Yeah, and it's Glenbar clay, so it's...
right. Yeah, I know where we are.
Hey, guys.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
And go Canucks. Yeah. Okay. Look at it rained last night at our place, Ken. I even put a posting on Facebook because it was so delightful and so welcomed to have. We were sitting out on our patio, and we've got that tin roof now on our patio. And the rain coming down on that roof was so loud. It was a beautiful feeling. We haven't had that for a while. And it reminded Donna and I, we were sitting there alone, and it reminded Donna and I when we were in Bermuda in 1973 or 72 together, when I was playing in the band. And it rained so hard that one time in Bermuda that it was like it was a shower, like an absolute. You felt like you were under Niagara Falls or something. It was just pouring wet. You walk out for half a second, walk out for half a second into the rain, come back, you're sopping wet.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, so it just reminded. So that was a nice feeling we had last night, sitting under our canopy there on our patio. We've got Michael joining us. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm looking for a recommendation. We want to be fire smart and take out the coniferous tree that we got that has a lot of dead growth inside it, right beside our front door, and another one probably at the corner of the house. We'd like it to be no more than 3 feet in diameter, and it's under the eaves, and it doesn't get much water. So what do you recommend?
You're looking for a tree?
Yes.
Because that's pretty close to the house.
Yeah. You need a shrub of some sort. Yeah, so a shrub like a boxwood plant is something that's nice, that's going to be evergreen, and it's not going to be super flammable. I mean, anything will burn, but I mean, they're pretty good.
Maybe a top-grafted something, like a top-grafted hydrangea or something. That looks more like a tree, Yeah,
something that's small. Anything deciduous is going to be less flammable. It doesn't have as much dead stuff, obviously, anywhere near it. Right. So, you're going to look for a deciduous shrub. Or if you want to go evergreen, like I say, that boxwood is a nice option just for a shrub that goes near an entranceway. So that's sometimes a good option. Deer won't eat it. That's another good thing.
There you go. Boxwood, that's good for that. But, Michael, if you want to email me that query, and I will send you a few pictures.
Oh, thanks. Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, we enjoy listening to your show most Saturday mornings. So.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in.
Okay, Michael.
Great. Bye.
Right.
Thanks for the call.
Good day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, nice. We enjoy being here, too. That's what we do every Saturday morning, and we've been doing it since 1983.
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing it since 83. You've been doing it since 86.
Yeah.
So,
it's a long haul, you dedicate every Saturday of your life. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It's wonderful, and just all the great people and gardeners and plants and flowers and things we've talked about over the years, and it's been just quite the journey.
And I've always related it to be just two gardeners talking over the back fence about chatting about their garden, because we learn just as much as people that are listening to the show learn. I've got this little Euphorbia obesa. It's that bulbous Euphorbia.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a bloom on it, Ken. It's so tiny. I bet you it's about about...
I think it's an eighth of an inch across?
About 10 millimeters kind of thing, 10, 15 millimeters.
What is that in inches? Eighth? Or is it
it's an eighth of an inch, maybe eighth of an inch in diameter, the blossom. And of course, it is a euphorbia. So the blossom, when you look up closely at it, looks like the blossom on a poinsettia, because poinsettias are euphorbia as well. And you've always said to me, one of the ways you can tell the
plants
in the same genus is their blossom.
Yeah. And isn't that funny about Mahonias, the Oregon grapes, where years and years and years and years they're always Mahonias, and now all of a sudden they go, oh, no, it's a barberry. And you go, a barberry? Okay. And then you look at it and you go, oh, yeah, it's got barberry flowers on it. Exactly. And when you cut the stems, you get that yellow, bright yellow sap, just like a barberry. And it's like, how did they miss that for all that time?
Yeah.
Like, how did they even miss it? Like, when you look at it now, it's like, oh, it's obviously a barberry.
And way back, I think they probably confused it with ilex, too.
Well, they
holly.
did. That was, I think, its first, the first error in naming of that plant. Yeah. I'm sure it was Ilex aquifolium.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's something. It's a fascinating study, and again, we want to emphasize the fact of using the common names. Like my plant of the week, my plant of the week was Crataegus laevigata. I haven't seen that before, but that's the species. Paul Scarlet is the variety. And Crataegus is the genus, and but it's often called May tree. But also the Prunus patus is called May tree as well.
Any tree that blooms in May is considered a May tree.
There you go.
That's
why
the
not?
sad part.
Why
of it
not?
That's why common names are difficult. If you use that name like Paul Scarlet, there's only the one Paul Scarlet I know of that's a tree. At least in this climate. So,
Paul Scarlet would be...
That would be more accurate, but we say Paul Scarlet Crataegus.
I think there's a Paul Scarlet rose, too. A climbing rose called Paul Scarlet, I believe. Yeah. I believe there is.
It's probably the same Paul.
Yeah, it could be the same. There might be biblical or something. Look at, Ken, we're going to take a short break, but one other thing on this common names. When I was in Australia, my friend Steve G we were driving around, and I said, what's that big tree that's got yellow blossoms all over it? And he says, well, that's a cotton tree. I said, well, yeah, okay, but what is it really?
It's a genus, yeah.
What is it? I don't know. It's just a cotton tree. And he's a landscaper, too.
Yeah.
So I looked up cotton tree. It's a hibiscus. It's one of the hibiscus family.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
We're going to take a short break. We will be back with The Garden Show after this short break. Well, welcome back to the show on a cool Saturday morning, and it's cool is good for some things. It's holding things back, things aren't blowing as quickly and whatever, but it's kind of difficult to really get some success going with the heat-loving vegetables like tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, not kohlrabi. That's a cool crop. Anyway, we've got a cool guy on the phone right now with us, just calling in, and we want to know what's on the mind of Dan Bruce today. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, we had a little bit of rain yesterday.
It poured at our place, Dan.
More wind than I need.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no real damage. That's good. I was in Costco not that long ago, and I was shopping around as I do in Costco.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lady in front of me who was complaining about the bananas. He said, well, they're so green.
Well, that's the best way to buy them.
I said, that is one of the facts of life, Green bananas, they are taken off the tree while they're green.
Right.
And they are then packaged, etc., wrapped, shipped, and distributed in the green state.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid living in Jamaica, we grew bananas out in the garden, and they were picked off the tree green. That involved actually cutting the whole tree down, because once it is flowered and fruited, that's it. It will not repeat.
Well, that makes for easy picking, doesn't it?
It makes for, yes and no. A full head of bananas on the tree is of massive weight.
Yes.
Anyway, the what we used to do is we would use the dried leaves of the tree as a sort of a packing material, and the bananas were kept in a box, and they ripened in the dark. And, every once in a while, I would go and check on them just to make sure that they were still there. And while checking, I would take a couple. I was a banana predator in those days. Anyway, a tree-ripened banana is not what you want to eat.
No?
No. If you let them stay on the tree, they ripen, but they go very, very mealy and inedible. So you pick them ahead of time.
Well, there you go. That's one of the reasons why they would pick them early, but also because of shipping. They can ship them all over the world by picking them green.
Yes, and if they were ripe, you couldn't. I mean, it's tough to move a really ripe banana from the grocery store to your home without messing it up.
Right. But Donna goes and she gets the specials. She looks for the special bananas that are overripe in the stores, gets a deal on them, brings them home, and she puts them in the freezer and then waits and then uses them. She makes banana loaf, and she can make banana loaf out of old ripe bananas. And what a way to do it! Just buy them cheap at the store and then either freeze them or make the banana loaf right away when you get home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bananas were cultivated in Southeast Asia and spread throughout the tropics really, really rapidly. And they're all a species of Musa.
Musa, right. Not like our Musa we have in Canada.
No, that's different.
That's a different Musa?
Well, the question, of course, arises, where does the name Musa come from? And the Arabic word for the fruit is muz, or something approaching that in pronunciation. And that is almost certainly where it came from. But there's another couple of other interesting options. Antonius Musa was a Greek botanist, and he was also a physician, a doctor. He was the doctor to Augustus Julius Caesar.
Oh, really?
And that was back in 14 A.D.
Couldn't fix up those wounds he had, though, eh?
Well, no, those last ones were pretty terminal. And then beyond that, there's another option, much less known than Julius Caesar, and that was Mansa Musa, the emperor of Mali, who reigned over his empire in West Africa from 1312 to 1337. And he goes down in history as probably being the wealthiest man ever.
Wow.
Where he was, the countries now are Mauritania, Senegal, Gambia, Mali. Where he was there, he was in control of the trade in salt and in gold. As you know, Ghana was the modern-day country of Ghana. It used to be called the Gold Coast for reasons that it produced enormous quantities. And virtually all the gold in medieval Europe was from that area. And it was sent north across the Sahara Desert by camel. And the trade going south was from the center of West Africa southward was salt.
Interesting.
So he was well positioned to make money, And so he could afford bananas.
He could indeed. And in, I think it was 1324, he made a pilgrimage from his capital city to Mecca, passed through Cairo. And he gave out so much gold that the sort of price of gold standard in Cairo dropped significantly.
Glut on the market.
Yeah.
A glut of gold.
Now, Dan, okay, Musa. How about, wouldn't be related to mucus, would it? Because of the slimy.
Where did that come from?
Huh? I'm just saying. I'm trying to put it out there because you can't give us a definite origination of that plant, that name, Musa.
No, but I'm also going to be quite definite in my belief that mucus has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think we better move on. Look at Dan. We always appreciate listening to you.
If you want to get into mucus, you might be into okra.
Right, okra. That's right.
If you really want, I can tell you a little bit about okra next week.
Let's do the okra next week.
All right.
And I've got one that I can add to that too next week. We'll chat about that. Okay, buddy. Okay. Take care.
Bye for now.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.
I've got a vegetable I'm growing. It's a cucurbit family, and I got it from my cousin Ross McLeod, and it's called bitter fruit. But if you cook it and prepare it properly, it's not bitter. I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to show Dan because he's got all that weird stuff he buys whenever he can, and it's kind of fun.
Weird vegetables and fruits and things, right. From all over the world.
You go to dinner at Dan's place, and you go to dinner at Dan's place. I'll tell you.
Something you maybe have never seen before. But yummy and delicious.
That's right. Most often, there was one little stinky thing that he had. That's okay. Look at this morning when I took the temperature in the yard. It was 7.4 degrees in my backyard at about 7 o'clock this morning. 16 degrees in the greenhouse because I've shut the heat off.
Right.
So now it's
still stays warm at night.
It went down to 16. Went down to 14 degrees in the greenhouse overnight. But to heck with the heat. I don't need any heat in there now. We want to get. In fact, we want the plants to get a little bit used to cool at night. So.
Yeah, and fluctuating temperatures. It's so abnormal to have the same temperature at night as it is in the day. Like that never happens on this particular planet. But I'm sure there's planets where it is more consistent. Yeah. But usually at night it cools off, and so plants have to get used to that. And right now, like 7 degrees is pretty cold at night for a lot of those, the tropicals. So it's tricky.
Expecting only a high of 14 here in Kelowna, and 11 in Victoria, and 13 in Penticton. So it's chilly. This is May, and it is, we're approaching the May 24th weekend.
This is
the May 24th weekend,
but it's not really
not
the
24th, but it's getting there, and. So anyway, just be cautious, folks.
Too cold for basil.
Oh, basil's got to be warm.
Oh, yeah. I had it sitting out. We had such beautiful warm weather. We had some trays sitting out ready to go, for future plantings here. And then when I saw the temperature the last couple of days, I tucked it back in the greenhouse and said, you can live in here till this little cold snap goes by.
Yeah, no, basil needs heat. We're going to take a short break. We enjoy your calls. Give us a call, 250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I, 1-888-780-4273. It's a free call. It's if you're listening online or listening out of town here in Victoria, give us a call, and we'll be back with The Garden Show after this short break. Okay, I was going to talk about this banana bread that Donna makes. It is so good, and she gets those bananas so reasonably because she buys them. Often she'll buy them when they're ripe.
They can barely be shipped.
Yeah, they can't be shipped.
Can't be carried out to the car.
No, that's it. Just
that's the way
she almost gets them for free. Anyway. So in the garden right now, I've planted another row of radishes. I had the most delicious radishes this year, Ken. I like heat. I don't particularly like the kind of heat that comes off really hot radishes. They are, it's not something I like. I do like, though, hot pepper heat. And there's all sorts of different kinds of heat that you can have. I mean, wasabi has a certain heat to it, very similar to your the white stuff you put, horseradish. I'm trying to think of horseradish. Horseradish, that kind of heat, too. Mm-hmm. And you can get some really hot horseradish, and I enjoy that. Stuff that really goes right up your nose, but the heat that I really like is the pepper. I like the hot peppers. That's the heat I like, and so I grind up the hot peppers in my little coffee grinder.
Mm-hmm. You dry them first.
Dry.
They're
dry
so
them out.
mushy
and they can be 2-year-old dried peppers that have been kept indoors. And I'll grind it up, and it makes the most beautiful shake. And when I was down in Mexico a few years ago, I took some of the shake with me. Mm-hmm. Before I left Mexico, I had 3 Mexican guys fighting over it.
Yeah.
They wanted it so badly. Yeah. It's so nice. You just shake it on. And people say, oh, how can you do that? You ruin the taste of the food. You don't change the taste of the food whatsoever with this. No, you don't change the taste.
But you got to be careful, for people. It's not for the faint of heart, but that's why you make it the way you like it.
Well, yeah, it doesn't change. Now, some of the hot sauces that you buy that have the peppers in them, the hot peppers, they do change the taste of the food because they have a taste of themselves. Yeah. But the stuff that I make in the shake,
it's just straight.
It just
pepper.
Burns. It just puts a burn on everything.
But I think it enhances the flavor.
I think so too. Ken, and it's really, really good.
It certainly puts a little spice in your life, that's for sure. Yep. If that doesn't wake you up, nothing will, right? But you have to be cautious, or I have to be a little careful. I don't want to be spicing up too much, like my throat and my stomach and all that. So I have to be very, very light. And even with that, I'm very careful. But everybody has their own thing. And some people can just stomach that stuff. Like, wow.
Well, it must be popular because, I mean, even McDonald's and all these different places have these spicy burgers and stuff that they're putting out.
Yeah, I have no idea how spicy they are.
Probably not that spicy.
Two reasons. One, I don't eat that. But the other thing is I don't.
Trained professionals.
If I was going to buy something, I probably wouldn't buy the hot option.
Yeah. Trained professionals, it wouldn't be hot enough. But
exactly.
I'd bring and add some to it.
Yeah, you'd put some.
But here's the deal. You think, I'm burning. My mouth is burning. You rub your eyes are burning. Everything's burning. Yeah. Well,
tell that to the ER when you get hauled out of there, and
burning.
They're spraying you down and rinsing your eyes out.
It's not
it's
burning.
All burn. Your whole head's puffed up and all red. And it's like it's not burning. It's just psychological.
It's psychological. A capsicum is telling your brain that it's burning.
You're going to
die. So the brain
yeah.
starts putting out dopamine, and the dopamine makes you get your pepper high. It's perfect. Yeah. Remember that time somebody came in the garden center with a habanero, and I ate the whole thing? And I was rolling around. I honestly went into convulsions, I thought, on the floor. It was so bad. And everybody was very worried about me in the lunchroom. And then I got up, and I just said, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful thing. Just went on.
Well, now we got to get you some of those California Reapers. Did you hear about those ones? That's the new hot one, right? Yeah. It's now the hottest pepper ever created. So it's something like 4,000 times hotter than the previous one. And the previous one was insanely hot, whatever it was. I don't know which it was, but it's like a sport. I find this whole hot pepper thing. You can watch on the internet, and you watch those people eating hot peppers. Oh my God, how do they do it?
I actually entered a contest once. It was at Rose's, and it was through the radio station back in the 90s, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And it was a hot pepper contest, and we started eating and see who could get through. I can't remember how I did. I just know I was burning up. And my dad said the best thing to counter the burn is to have some bread.
Yeah.
Have just plain bread.
Yep.
Or a bun or something. Mm-hmm. And that solves the question. 250-862-2525 if you want to join the fray here in the gardening world. This is the greatest time of the year, Ken. I drive around and see stuff. As I was saying last week or the week before, this attention business. They talk about people on their cell phones. They talk about people, not paying attention.
Screens.
Well, there's plant diversion attention disorder that is important.
It's afflicting gardeners.
It's afflicting gardeners. You have an accident, you run into a telephone pole or something, and the police, what happened? Well, I was looking at that hawthorn tree, and I couldn't get my eyes off it, and I just went off the road. He's not going to be. The sense of humor does not stretch that far.
No, but it's that time of year, and I'm just every chance I get, I've got my nose in the flowers, smelling the lilacs and even just anything that's blooming, I'm checking for fragrance. It's just such a wonderful thing. To me, that's just one of the best things in life, is being able to just have that incredible fragrance. Lily of the Valley. Oh, my God, what a beautiful fragrance.
Really?
Incredible, yeah.
I can't kneel down anymore, so I can't smell it.
Snip it and put it in a vase.
Oh, there you go.
It's lovely. It's in bloom right now. It's a great plant. It's a little aggressive, but it certainly lives in dry shade.
There's an appropriate place for it.
For everything, yeah. But wow, what a beautiful fragrance.
I've got a pink one.
Oh,
I got it from Helen.
Yeah.
It's beauty.
One of those very rare ones.
Pink Lily of the Valley.
Yeah.
Just down the street, I recommend putting in some pachysandra to some folks under a tree, and it's just flourished for the last 5 years. It's toast this year, but it is coming up at the base, so it's
it should come
right
back.
It's coming right
come back from the roots. With people and plants, they got to be patient this year. I've had many conversations with people who are not being patient with their plants, but you got
patience is a virtue.
Yeah, because it's worth it. Once they get those leaves on, they start to grow.
Got to go to the phone lines. It's Sharon joining us from West Kelowna. Hi, Sharon.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I have a question on seed potatoes. If I've got some that the shoots have grown fairly high when I go to plant them, do I make sure those are covered, that those shoots aren't above ground? Or can I cut them back?
Yeah, they're actually a rhizome, and so you can either even lay them in horizontally, and they will grow roots off of that, which of course will produce potatoes too. Like it's it's one of those things you can just give it a try. Sometimes what happens with those long potato shoots is that they're so soft and succulent that other insects and things that live in the garden will sometimes want to feed on them. And so initially when you first put them in, they can struggle a little bit. But I think it's fun and worth a try. Some people will snip them back and just leave a stub and let it re-chit. Again, they call it chitting, and that's where it starts to produce some little buds at the base. And then once the buds form, that's perfect for putting in the ground. But these longer shoots, I would just try it. It's a fun part of gardening is to see the difference. And if I had one that was over a foot long or something, I'd plant it and lay it horizontally in the soil, and then cover it up and flag it so I remembered where it was, and then go back and inspect it from time to time, see what's going on.
Okay, I'll give that a try. And with these colder nights, like 6 and 7 overnight, is it probably too early to really put the tomatoes in?
Tomatoes are a bit early, but potatoes will be fine.
Get the potatoes in for sure.
But tomatoes they don't like the cold.
Yep.
No, so should maybe hold off for a little bit till the nights warm up a bit.
You bet.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
When the ground feels comfortable to the bare bottom, that's what they say.
Okay, well, go out and do that.
Do the test.
Thank you, dear.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. All right, thanks for calling.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
And we have time for Maureen from Kelowna. We've got just a couple of minutes here, Maureen.
Okay, good morning. My question is related to the previous caller. I haven't put tomatoes in yet either, so I'll hold off. Should we wait until it's about 10 degrees at night?
You're talking about tomatoes specifically?
Yeah. Tomatoes, yeah.
That would be ideal. Typically, if in doubt, just wait it out. You want to get into June. Like most of the farmers won't plant them out until they're into June. And you have to just watch because you never know from year to year. Some years it's very warm at night and we're doing good, but this year it was, but now it's kind of turned.
Exactly.
So for people who are waiting, they may be lucky. I put a couple out, but I haven't put them all out. I've got a bunch more to go out.
Perfect. So. And then my other very quick question is just about my dahlias. I've been hardening them off for weeks now, a couple of weeks. I was going to plant them this weekend.
I put them out.
Okay. Yeah. Even though the soil's a bit cool and it's cool.
No, dahlias should be fine.
They look tough.
Dahlias will be fine.
They're better than other types of plants, but still no frost. But
they won't take frost, but we're not getting any frost now.
No, I don't think so. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, dear.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thanks for calling.
We have just a half a minute here to talk to, and then we'll just put you on hold, Ronald. Ronald from West Kelowna. We've got about 30 seconds here. And then we'll talk, and then we'll get to you after the break.
Okay, I was good. My first question was, where do I get the Carmen cucumber seeds?
I got mine from Vessey's this year.
From where?
Vessey's, Vesseys, Vessey's. Now, we're going to have to take this break. We'll talk to you right after we come back from the news. Okay? Thanks, buddy. And we're back with you, and we're back with Ronald. Good morning. Thanks for hanging in there, Ron.
Well, thanks. Listen, Vessey's doesn't mean anything to me. What is that?
It's a seed company.
Well,
well, I just go online. I went online to Vessey's because I used to.
How do you spell that? V-E-S?
Yes, a V is in victory. E-S-S-E-Y-S, I believe. Vessey's.
Okay.
And you go online and then you'll go through their catalog. I used to buy everything from Stokes, but now Stokes, unfortunately, unless you're a grower, it doesn't pay to buy because they charge a huge amount for shipping. And there's a minimum order you have to put in, and I just didn't need that much seed this year, and so I went to Vessey's.
Okay, and my second question is, you were talking about chili peppers?
Yes.
Well, I planted some ghost chili peppers.
Yeah.
And I planted some other milder ones. And so after they all grew, I tasted them, Lord Thunder, and my head almost blew off because they cross-pollinated each other.
Oh.
So if you're going to plant chili peppers, you should maybe just plant one variety, or what's the deal on that?
There's, that's interesting. That's an interesting conversation. Do you remember Donnie's experience? He had sweet peppers planted right beside his hot peppers, and the sweet peppers got hot.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Now, I believe him. He wasn't on drugs or anything. He was just regular Donnie, and so I don't know the science behind it, but it's some kind of.
It shouldn't. In theory, based on I think botanical. Well,
that's what we said. Yeah.
Science. It shouldn't happen. It's like with any plants that cross pollinate. The seeds are generally unaffected.
Yeah.
But when the seeds germinate, then that new plant would give you the traits of the two parent plants. Having them near each other should have no effect.
It really shouldn't.
And whether even if they get pollinated by each other, the fruit is not generally affected. No. Often what happens is the seeds get mixed up and they get the wrong labels on them or something wherever they're coming from. And then so even though they're hot, it's just because they originally were mixed up with some other pepper that was in the mix, and somebody mislabeled it or something. So the human error is a higher percentage chance than actually that they are actually sweet peppers that are turning hot
biologically.
That's just, that's I could be like, who knows?
But
totally
we have to. We'll talk to Donnie again on that one. But look at Ron. Do you have any of those peppers left from last year, like dried?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, if you ever do get more like that, let me know, because I love hot peppers. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Okay, buddy.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
There you go.
Yeah, isn't
hot
that
peppers.
Something? Yep. And like I say, we need more science. Somebody must know that. These hot pepper, the breeders down in California and whatnot, these guys who come up with these super hot varieties, like the Carolina Reaper and all those ones, and the Ghost Pepper. And those are all new hybrids that they've created, and they just keep making them hotter and hotter and hotter through hybridizing. And they would probably know because that's all they do all the time is breed these things.
Yeah.
And now they've got this California Reaper, which is blowing everything out of the water. It's now the world's hottest pepper. And the guy, even the guy who bred it himself, went on to on YouTube and took a bite out of one of them. And it took him 2.5 days to recover just from one bite. Because it was 4 million times more potent than like a jalapeno or something.
He had a lot of dopamine going through his body.
Well, at first, he said that it was the biggest mistake he made in his life was trying it, because they had it chemically analyzed. But when he did, he took the bite and couldn't finish the show at all. They were going to rush him to the hospital, and he fought them off a bit, but he couldn't talk or anything for days. And then he finally came out of it, and he at the end of it all, he said at first he really regretted it for the first day, and then on the second day, I guess when the dopamine kicked in, he was like, "Oh, that was great." Yeah. He says, "No, I'd do it again." I don't know.
Well,
some people
on the other end of the spectrum. Over visiting with Charlie and Teresa Hodge, and Teresa earlier on this year had this really she'd propagated a bunch of sweet potatoes, like from the store. She let them grow, and she took cuttings and took anyway. She gave me. I've got them now planted in my tubs out there where I normally have the regular potatoes. They're right out in the hot sun. When we get the hot sun, we'll see how they work. Remember, we used to grow a sweet potato in the nursery to sell as a bedding plant.
Georgia Jet.
Georgia Jet.
Yep.
I got to write that down. Georgia Jet. It was. How did you remember that? That was.
I don't know. It's always been floating around in there.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of sweet potatoes, I think of the golden leaf ones that we grow in our planters just for ornamental factor, but they produce potatoes. But Georgia Jet is the stand. I think it's sort of a standard in the industry that's sold as a garden center sort of plant. I don't know the varieties that they grow, in the tropics. Who knows? It could be all different varieties.
But I just know that we had some Georgia Jet in the greenhouse in 2-gallon pots. That 2-gallon pots was so full of sweet potatoes, delicious reddish colored sweet potatoes.
Yep.
But anyway, so I've got these planted. We're going to see what they do. Monitor them and see if it was a good idea.
It's the warmth factor, and this is the thing, because I planted a bunch straight into my garden beds one year, and it was beautiful and warm in May, end of May, early June. And planted them in, and they started to grow, and they were doing quite nicely for a bit. And then we got 3 weeks of cold weather and rain, and it killed them all. They all just died. They all went rotten. And
they're tropical plants.
They're tropical, and they need the moisture, but they need the heat more than they need the moisture. And so again, this thing with keeping plants warm. And I always found growing sweet potatoes for myself, definitely in raised planters or in raised pots or oak barrels or something that's up out of the ground where it gets more of that ambient air temperature rather than the cool earth. Because cool earth doesn't really add up for sweet potatoes. They really like the warmth, so do better in the heat. So having them up in pots seems to be a good combination.
Well, I think so. Keep them up in the air so that the ground is warm. Maybe even in situations like that, one of those heating cables wrapped around inside that pot might be helpful too. Something that needs real warm soil, just like
if you want to get them going earlier, just keep them in your greenhouse. But you run out of space in the spring so fast.
Right now, I'm running out of space. Speaking of which, I have some tomato plants available very reasonably. I'm going to charge a little bit for them because that helps pay for the gas bill over the winter. They're in 4-inch pots. They're nice sized plants. They're about 10 inches high and strong and healthy. The variety is Sun Dipper, and it's a pear-shaped tomato, a cherry-type tomato, only it's pear-shaped, and because it gives a little handle on it, so you can dip into the dip and then pop it in your mouth, and bingo, you've got yourself.
I might have to get one of those off you.
Okay, I will get you one, Ken. So we're going to have them, because we're going to be away part of the day today, so I'm going to have them out on the curb with a sign on it that you can put your toonie or loony or whatever you need into the mailbox, the honor system,
There you go.
One of those things. But I enjoy doing that. It brings back memories of our business back in the day. Dad and Mom and my grandfather and all that built the business on selling tomatoes, and not only tomato plants, but the ripe tomatoes, fresh tomatoes. And I've got the 1954 book from the tomato cucumber season, and listing all the grocery stores that they deliver to and all the amounts and everything. And at the end of the day, this was 1954, $10,500 worth of tomatoes and cucumbers in 1954.
That's amazing.
That was a lot of money. You could buy a car.
It's a lot of tomatoes.
Well, tonnage coming out of the greenhouses, all fired with wood.
They had tomatoes in the field though too, didn't they? In a patch outside.
Well,
because they had the greenhouses.
At first, they did, but later it was all the greenhouse tomatoes, and the greenhouse tomato season went right through into July and late July, and then when the field tomatoes came on, nobody wanted to buy it. They were a lot cheaper, so. Dad we'd have tomato fights. My brother and sister and I would have tomato fights because Dad would let us in there, do whatever you want, and we'd ripe tomatoes and we'd throw them at each other and splashing tomatoes. I mean, it was very safe, fun time for kids to have. And you'd end up...
Just don't throw the green ones.
Well, you'd end up smelling like a tomato, actually, and looking...
You're probably
almost looking like a tomato.
A lot of lycopene.
To join this conversation on gardening, you want to give us a call, 250-862-2525, 1-888-780-4273 if you're out of town, in Victoria area, or listening online. We will be back with The Garden Show after this short break. Well, coming up now, it's we were mentioning it earlier on in the year, and it seemed like a long, long way off, but it's coming up very quickly here. The Flower Power Garden Tour, Saturday, June 15th, 9 exceptional gardens. Just look up the Flower Power Garden Tour in the online, and you'll find it. And the
Garden Club.
Garden Club Flower Show is coming up too.
The big competition.
Yeah, I haven't got that written down when that is. Maybe somebody from the Garden Club can give us a call and talk about the flower show, because I haven't got that written down here. But it's coming up and exciting. It's an exciting weekend to have. And folks, I highly recommend you have some fun and enter into the Garden Club floral contest. You can use roses. You can use all sorts of different various varieties of garden things that they and then of course there's also the specialty divisions where that's where I put in my Magnolia grandiflora and my Aramuris, my Aramuris plant from the front there, the foxtail lily. So that you can put in, it's kind of the specialty department, but lots of things like roses for sure, and there's also departments. I'll get the list for you, so we'll just run through that because I really would like to see people take part in it. It's lots of fun, and there's a place for the kids too. The kids that take part in it. So if you want to get your kids out there gardening and you want to get them interested, consider taking part in the Kelowna Garden Club flower show. Now, one of the things that I do during that flower show is I give a tour of the gardens, and those gardens, of course, we talk about Elaine Cameron's gardens quite a bit on the show, and the gardens are very similar to when Elaine was alive. She died in the mid, almost 1977, in that neck of the woods, with that time period, and she passed away. And she wrote her diary right up to the day the day before she passed away in her sleep, and that diary really gives us insight into a lot of things. Timing, what the weather was like back then compared to now. Also, some of the places she would buy plants. It was very interesting to hear her buying some from Burnett's, some from the Tamais at Kelowna Nurseries, some from Charters, the different greenhouses that were around, and of course Maury's greenhouses. And so that's a wonderful thing to be able to bring that history back. I do the walkabout through there, talk about the history, because we grew up right down the street from the Cameron property there, from Gushkin, and we were very familiar with them, and we were good friends with both the Cameron families, the Alistair Camerons and the Paddy Camerons, which were the two brothers that had the property there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the little greenhouse is still there that did burn down, but they rebuilt it right on the same footprint and very similar to the original greenhouse. I've got pictures of the original greenhouse, very similar. And so take part in that, and that's coming up very soon in June. It's in June as well.
Yeah, we'll find out, and we'll give you that information. It is coming soon, and hopefully somebody from the Garden Club will give us a call and just bring us up to date. We do a lot in a week, and it's interesting to see all the things that happen in just 1 week's time. So it's exciting. It's fun being in the garden business and just being able to enjoy all these events, and it's been great so far. It's been really great. I'd like to maybe get an update from OXA and for the Okanagan's Hardscape Association, see how they did on their sale, and hopefully it exceeded their expectations.
Ken, just got a message from Teresa Hodge. She says she's grown Beauregard sweet potatoes as well. Beauregard.
Oh, there you go.
So we've got two, Georgia Jet, Beauregard. These are all great things. But as you say, if you just get the regular Ipomea, the sweet potato vine, the golden one and the green.
The large leafed one produces the larger potatoes. So that's the small leafed ones. They produce small potatoes. And I mean like the size of your thumb, sort of thing. So it's usually better to go with the bigger leafed ones, and you can enjoy the golden leaves in your planters all season because they're so beautiful. And then in the fall, when you're cleaning them out, you can harvest your potatoes. And they're just absolutely delicious.
Right on. I've got lots of stuff growing in the greenhouse. Now, some of the stuff is growing very, very well, others not. And, that's the whole joy and challenge and pleasure in many ways of having a little greenhouse or doing some gardening, what does well, what doesn't do well. One thing I'm trying on those cucumbers that seem to be wilting all the time, Ken, is I'm trying some hyperoxygen, H2O2. Hydrogen peroxide. I'm trying some treatment on one, and I've got a tag in there saying hydrogen peroxide treatment, the other's not. And just see if I see a difference there, because that puts oxygen to the roots and very helpful.
And it has certain species of bacteria and certain species of algae and that sort of thing can be affected by it. We used to do massive experiments with H2O2 in the greenhouses, injecting it and trying to help to manage certain types of algae and liverwort and that sort of thing in the greenhouse crops. Right. And it doesn't work on liverwort, just heads up. Yeah. Doesn't work on moss either.
Well, but it seems to work in water features like our little water feature that we have. We put hydrogen peroxide in that. Yeah. We put it in the bird feeder.
The algae.
No, not the bird feeder, but the bird bath. We put that in there, and it keeps that nice and clean. And it's I've sprayed plants with it for insect control, and it will kill insects.
It's certain things, isn't it? It's an interesting thing. We were upping our percentage in our testing to see what percentage it took to actually make a difference, and we went straight full strength and didn't really do much.
I mean,
on liverwort.
You're talking 29%.
Yeah.
Woo. Yeah, and there we used to be able to buy the 35%.
Sizzling, yeah, almost sizzling. Lots of things couldn't handle that. But it's just
the liverwort, no problem. I mean, it wouldn't. It
survived. Yeah. So that's the thing is you got to try, you got to test, you got to and that's where you have to watch a lot of these remedies that are on like the internet and whatnot. Best to take a scientific approach and to also utilize information that comes from universities, because a lot of universities do extensive testing, and it's often very species specific. Some plants and some organisms are just so durable; they're just unaffected by certain things. And then on the other hand, some are just highly susceptible to potentially the same thing.
Well, I'm putting my second dosage of aspirin on my red maple, my Japanese maple. I put now a total of 200 tablets of aspirin on my Japanese maple.
You're not holding back.
Nope. We're going for it. And these are the water-soluble ones, so I just throw them in there. It's easy application, then just soak them down. And
some of your smoke bush, too.
Well, it's right beside the smoke bush. The smoke tree's fine. Smoke tree's not showing
Last
any
year
signs.
It had symptoms.
It had one branch, but it's not showing any signs of it this year.
Yeah. They're more susceptible than the Japanese maples.
Well, this is why I'm
they
wondering.
Do come back.
And it's not necessarily that I have verticillium, because that plant has been in that ground now for 15 years. And it was just last year, after that rough winter, that rough freeze in November or December last year, and then again even a little worse this year after that. But what's leafing out is pushing very nicely, and we'll see what the aspirin will do.
And what we're talking about is verticillium wilt, which is a fungus that is soil-borne and affects certain types of plants, mostly shrubbery and some trees. The maple family is greatly affected, and where the tree starts out by showing these symptoms of one branch here, one branch there. Typically during cool weather, it doesn't show up. It's not until the temperatures get hot, and then that's when parts of the tree will wilt. The common name for the disease, or it's often called verticillium wilt, which is when parts of the tree wilt, but parts are just fine. And so this is a common disease here in the Okanagan, and I think it's pretty common in a lot of areas. And once you have a tree or a plant that dies from that disease, it's important to identify it, because you won't be able to replant any other plants that may be susceptible in that same spot. So we have to move on to something different, a different species, different group of plants altogether, and something that has resistance. And that way you can get those plants to grow successfully in that same spot. But if you put the same plant in, it just dies too. It dies too, because the disease
is soil-borne, and it won't go away unless you fumigate it, and nobody has the way to fumigate soil anymore. Just checking with Elaine Cameron's diary here on this 24th of May time of year. Still has not put any tomatoes in, but she did say here, got celery from Burnett's and planted it.
Yep.
Celery. And we used to start our celery like really early in the years. It was one of the earliest things we'd sow to get the celery ready for...
We start ours in February every year, and we're just planting it out literally like today. Yeah. It's okay with cool weather, not cold. It doesn't like the cold either.
Crop.
It's not a cold crop, but it can go earlier than tomatoes.
It's an in-between crop.
It is an in-between crop, and some beans are like that too. Beans are sort of can handle a little bit cooler than a tomato, say, for example, or an eggplant, or definitely basil. I think basil's got to be the warmest crop out there. You just got to wait until the weather's warm, and then go ahead and away they go.
Okay. We do have a call from Roy. However, I think we should take this break, should we not? We're going to take a break right at the bottom of the hour here. Roy, thank you for calling. Please hang on. We will talk to you when we come back after this short break. And we'll go right to the lines here. Roy, thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
We're well, thanks.
Yeah, you sound like you're enjoying your conversation this morning.
We are.
Yeah, there you go.
And it isn't always that way, you know.
Yeah.
I imagine trying to think of what can we talk about.
Yeah.
I just caught the end of something about a bird bath. But I didn't get what it was about, and I happen to have a couple in my yard, and if there's some trick to keeping them clean or whatever.
Well, one of the reasons we put the H2O2 or
you're going to have to turn down your radio.
You turn down your radio there, Roy.
Yeah, she's a bit
okay.
Echoey.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why we put the H2O2 in there is because of this avian flu scare. Now, in the Okanagan, it's not nearly as serious as it is down at the coast, but it is still a serious factor. And so we want to keep that water clean, and by adding a capful of 29% hydrogen peroxide,
hydrogen. That's what you put in.
Hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, right. You can buy that. You can buy that at the garden centers. It's called hyperoxygen, I believe. But anyway, just ask for the H2O2 or the hydrogen peroxide, 29%. I have a sheet on it if you wanted to email me, and I can give you a sheet of directions for both ponds, water features, and for feeding to the roots of trees and shrubs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not online, but in any case.
Well, you can always. I'm in the book. You can so you can come by my place, and I'll give you a sheet first hand.
What book would that be? You mean like a telephone?
Yeah, the phone book. Yeah.
Oh, you have one of those too?
Well, I'm not sure whether they put one out anymore, but I still have a landline.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, there you go. Anyway,
but I'll get somebody else's number, and but I want to ask them first.
Yeah, you betcha.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Yep. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, you betcha.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was Roy, and we've got Andy from Kelowna. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, guys. I'm calling you on my landline.
Oh, good. Right on. You still in the book? You still get the courier?
There's one laying around here somewhere, I think.
I still get the courier every morning, so there you go.
Hey, listen, we just got back from a month away, and much to my dismay, when I walked in my backyard, I've got a nut tree back there. I think it's a walnut or a chestnut. I'm sure you've had this question since I've been away. But the darn thing is having trouble. I think Jack Frost took a whack at her this year. What do I do?
Well, some varieties of walnuts have got hit really hard. I've got a neighbor across the street. The walnut's frozen right down in half. And then my neighbor right next to me, there's no problem. So it's a varietal thing, I believe. But some walnuts, varieties, were hit hard. Yeah. So it's a matter of waiting, like Ken says, patience. Wait till you see what's alive and what's not alive before you start cutting the dead out.
Okay. So basically just let it go, see what happens in the next little while, and then trim back to dead stuff, hey?
You got it. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, okay. So nothing as far as feeding it or anything else?
Certainly, if it has foliage on it, feeding it will be effective to it but if a lot of folks will say, well, it's all dead right to the ground, and feeding is not going to help there. But if it has some foliage on it, the food will help because the photosynthesis takes place with the materials coming up through the vascular system, and then photosynthesis takes place in the leaves, and then that sends back the starches and sugars to feed the plant.
What do we feed it?
Anything with nitrogen. If you've got lawn fertilizer, you can put some of that around. Don't be real heavy-handed, but...
But if the tree is in the lawn and you're feeding your lawn, that's the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
Same idea.
It's already getting it.
Okay. No, it's trying to make a go of it. It's a 50-year-old tree. It's a beauty, but you know what? It's got foliage, but it's got a lot of dead on it too. So we'll give it a couple of weeks, eh?
Andy, at least, yeah. Keep her going. It should be fine.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Talking to you. Have a good day there.
Good to talk to you. Take care.
Thanks for
calling.
calling.
Take care, guys. You bet.
Bye-bye.
And we have Abby. Is it Abby or Addie?
It's Addie.
Addie. A-D-D-I, not A-B-B-I. Yeah. Addie. How are you doing, Addie?
I'm doing fine. How about you guys?
We are
Good,
well.
thanks.
Yeah. Okay. I have a real question to ask you about fertilizers. Is 15-30-15 better for blooming plants than 20-20-20?
Yes.
It is, eh? Okay. I had a kind of a discussion with my neighbor, and she said that it's not.
Well, there's two...
Fertilizers are all the same.
Yeah, they're pretty close to being all the same. But the thing to note is that there's the pre-bloom, so something that's going to set up and initiate the flower buds and things, which would be like 15-30-15. And then once it starts to bloom, then any food will make it continue blooming.
Okay, so that's...
And annuals versus perennials is different. Annuals need higher nitrogen, whereas plants in the ground need lower nitrogen. So it depends. There's some factors there that can affect them.
So what you're saying is perennials should get 15-30-15 all the time?
Yeah, that's what they would prefer is a slightly lower nitrogen, yeah. But with annuals, they love the nitrogen. Yeah. Oh, yes, they do.
Container stuff. And I buy the bag of 20-20-20, that's all I use. It's a general food, that's all I use.
Fertilizer, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to try the 15-30-15 this year and then just see how it works. But anyway, that's beside the point. Last winter, my grapes took a real hit. Now they're starting to come in, but One of them is totally dead at the top, and it's got some leaves coming in from the bottom part. And then the other one is got leaves coming in halfway through. Should I just cut away the dead and let them...
This is great. You're saying grapes?
Grapes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, what Ken says as far as the being patient, Addie, I wouldn't start hacking away quite yet till you see what is absolutely dead and alive. There is a secondary push on grapes sometimes. The wood is still alive. The buds got nailed, but they take their time. Because I've seen that on my grapes this year. I've got 2 varieties of grapes. I've got Einset and I have Arkansas Reliance. Both are kind of a reddish seedless grape. And there's definitely damage, but the longer I wait before I start pruning away, the longer I wait, the more I see starting to push. So just hang tough a little bit on those.
Okay. Well, yeah, I will. I mean, I was kind of surprised because this is their 3rd year. Mind you, I planted them later on in the year in 2022, and then they looked good last year, and then over winter, I guess they got a little bit of. Even though I did mulch them and everything, they got hit. So I will wait. Though I have no problem with waiting.
Yeah, and younger plants are going to be a little more vulnerable than an older plant too.
Yeah. Okay. My other question is my avocado tree. The leaves are getting, it's only about 2 months old right now. The leaves are getting little white paper clippings on them.
White paper clippings?
Yeah, they look like white paper clippings. It must be some kind of
aphid skins?
I don't know. Insect.
Well, if you can take a close-up picture of that and send that to me, Addie, that would be awesome, and I can let you know. Sometimes it can be an insect like an aphid. Aphids shed their skin every couple days, and so what happens is that when they do that, it's like dandruff on the plant,
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Looks like.
Yeah, and then you have a close look at it, and it looks like a crumpled up aphid in a way. They still have their sort of similar shape, but you have to look really close. But yeah, you can go ahead and if you can get a close up shot, send it to me, and then we can know, because sometimes those aphids are hard to see.
Yeah,
they're they're experts at camouflage, and you can't see them, but you can see those skins that they shed.
Addie, do you have a hand lens? Do you have a hand lens?
Oh, I see. Okay. I have a magnifying glass.
Yeah. Well, the magnifying glass is fine, but the little hand lens that you put right up close to your eye and then bring the work that you want to see, bring that up to the lens, and boy, that'll give you an idea of what's in there, what's going on. It's just be a 10 power, 15 power. It doesn't have to be really powerful. I have one
close look.
Yeah, I have one that I carry with me all the time. I've been carrying with it for 25, 30 years. And it's very important for anybody who has plants and deals, especially the professionals. Everybody should have a hand lens in their pocket, as well as a pair of Felcos hanging off their belt.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, Addie, just have a close look and see what you can see. And, of course, you want to look under the leaves often and on the brand new growth and see.
So can I spray them with water?
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, the only thing I have to say is I have not brought my tomatoes in for the past week.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out this morning, and I have got, and I'll send you a picture, I have got about 7 of the most beautiful plucked cherry tomatoes that I'm going to have for lunch today.
Oh, lovely. And they've been outside.
They've been outside the whole time. I might have hardened them. I mean, what a letdown from last weekend to this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, exactly.
We must have done something wrong, and
I think so.
the weather guards are really upset with us.
Yeah, they're giving us heck.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Addie.
Show. I look forward to listening to you guys on Saturday.
Thank you, dear. We appreciate that. Yeah,
appreciate it. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. And I think we're going to take the break. We have no callers right now, but just to accommodate the callers as we go through the last 15 minutes or so, maybe we should take that break early, right, Josh? We'll do that. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with The Garden Show after this short break. We are back with you, and Ken and I are talking hockey. Of course, we got the big game tonight. we're looking forward to the Canucks just tidying things up now and moving on.
But
hopefully,
there's a lot of Oilers fans out there.
Yeah, that's right.
We love you guys.
We love you too, you Oilers fans. Okay. We have Renee calling in. Good morning, Renee.
Good morning, gentlemen. Go Canucks, go.
Yeah, you bet.
Hey, I have a lovely, I think it's called a dwarf Korean lilac. Mm-hmm. It is in bloom. I mean, it's not as in bloom as my neighbors, but it's doing pretty good. However, the last 3 August, especially at one end, the leaves get sort of a burnt look. And somebody tells me that I have weevils.
It's possible. You can see the edges of the leaves are serrated, like they have little cuts in them.
Yeah,
little
like
notches.
Not now, but in end of July and August, they look funny. You're right.
You will start to see the notching pretty quick here. So you'll start to see a couple here and a couple there, just individual single notches. By the time you get into summer, sometimes the entire leaf is surrounded. They love lilacs, and they can be managed with the grub out. There's 2 products. One's called Grub Out, and the other one is called Grub Begone, and they're 2 different products. And but they are both biological, so they use organisms to control the larva. These weevils are a little beetle that notches the sides of the leaves. A very distinctive little notch, about maybe 1/8 of an inch across. And maybe slightly bigger, and these will be always on the outer edge of the leaf. And then what they do is they hatch out typically like from a larva into an adult beetle in May, and then they start notching, and they notch all summer. That's what they eat, is the edge of the leaves. Sometimes they'll chew on bark, and they do their thing, and that doesn't really kill the tree. That's just some little bit of minor damage. But then in August, they start laying eggs at the base of the tree in the roots. And then those eggs hatch and become these grubs that grow down into the soil, and they start to eat the roots. And that's where the damage occurs, is from the grubs. So the best thing to do is to make these notes. If you do for sure have weevils and it's causing damage to the tree, to the plants, shrubs, whatever it is, then you would apply one of these products, either Grub Begone or Grub Buster. Grub Buster. There's another, Grub Out. There's several products, and you can apply those following label directions sometime around that mid to end of around the end of August, typically, and you might even repeat that again in mid-September, and just to kill out as many of those grubs as you can, because they're going to feed all winter and cause damage. And how the damage shows up, it can be brown, crispy leaves when the temperatures get hot. That's when you're starting to see damage.
They're damaging the root and the crown.
Yeah, so then the plant has a hard time dealing with water relations, and when it gets hot, the more water they need, the more that shows up as crispy leaves and that sort of thing.
Okay, so there's nothing I can do so that I don't have that effect this year?
Well, you can always, in case there's still grubs in the soil right now, which is still possible, you could apply it now, but it would have to be right now, because they are getting ready to pupate out and become more beetles.
Okay.
You know, and then that shows those more notches showing up as the season progresses. So yeah, you could do some right now. We're at the end of that cycle. So usually if you're going to do a springtime application, you do it through the month of April or into early May. Yeah. And we're just right on that brink right now, so of switching over. So you could still do it. I mean, you'd kill off a bunch of them, I'm sure.
Yeah. And you can do a little research yourself, too, for timing. Go online and look for the weevil that affects lilacs.
Okay, that's good. Thanks for your thoughts.
Thank you, dear.
I'll try. I appreciate it.
All right,
You're
good luck.
Bye.
Yep,
bye-bye.
Thanks.
And we have Billy calling in. Good morning, Billy.
Hello, good morning, you two master gardeners. I would like to praise the peony. I can hardly wait. I have a smile on my face just thinking of it.
Yeah.
And the translation from the German would be Pentecost Rose. And tomorrow is Pentecost, so I'm really, really thinking and hoping.
Oh, isn't that cool? That is awesome. Yeah, there's
the other thing I wanted to say about the Madagascar plant. I had called you a long time ago that I tried to save mine. My daughter helped me transplant it, or I helped her, I should say. Mm-hmm. She's the younger one, the stronger one now. And it's doing really well. It's 3 feet tall. It took wonderfully, and I have 3.5 babies. And one of them is just a toothpick. It's thick now, but I'm trying and hoping hard. One more question, please. A question. Now comes a question. Where can I get a gingko tree? It's so fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm. They're usually available.
They are available at your local nurseries. They do sell them, and you really just have to go to your nearest local nursery, and that's where you'll find them typically. Ask for them by name. There's many different forms now. You can get some that are more narrow, like columnar types that are skinnier, some that are wider. Not super fast growing, but they're a really good tree.
I had planned to have it indoors. Would that be possible?
No.
A ginkgo should be outside. You could.
Very sheltered.
No. They're tough as nails.
Ginkgo biloba
outside anywhere.
Yeah, very hardy here.
Grows into a full-size tree.
Biloba.
Yeah.
Ginkgo biloba.
Okay, thank you so much. And I don't know if I pronounce it right, but Don, you've been to Australia. The Womboy palm is the rare tree they had discovered there.
Oh, yes.
Woolly
pine.
Yes, is that available?
I've been trying to get one.
Brian had some.
He had some, but he doesn't anymore. They were doing a promotion and to raise money.
I still have the brochure for it. Yes.
Yeah. I'm still looking, so keep in touch. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very, very much.
Okay. Thanks for calling.
And we have time for one more call. Quickie, Marilyn. Good morning, Marilyn from Lakeview Heights.
Hello. I have a problem with my cherry bomb barberries. 4 of them in a row really got damaged this winter. They look more like gray skeleton than plant. And I'm just wondering what's the best. There is a little bit of life there, a bit of leaf here and there. And I'm wondering, is it best to cut them right back down to a foot or something like that and see what happens, or should I just trim the ends?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of barberries having some winter damage this year, and so I do all of the above. I kind of look at the plant and decide whether a good percentage of it is dead on the top, and then I start to see these little leaves shooting from the base, and then I think, okay, well, I'm just going to chop the whole thing off because there's no point in leaving all that dead wood there, and you have to cut it out later, right? So I'd rather cut it off now. I can just lop it off really quick and get down to sort of a stubby little base where the new shoots are coming, and then let that whole plant rejuvenate. It's going to be slow. It can take a while to get going, so it may not be going till this summer. But at least you still have the plant, and it does come back. On the other hand, I do have some where they're about 50% dead, and some stems are alive and some are dead. So then I go in and carefully snip out the dead pieces. And then from that, after I've removed all the dead and I have some of these live ones, I want to keep some leaves going because they don't have a lot of leaves. They need the leaves to grow. So I carefully just snip the last few just to make it look like a shrub again as best I can, and then just leave it till the summer. And then in the summer, I might be able to give it an additional trimming if needed, or even just wait till next year and give it another haircut.
Yes, it's on our lot line, and it's kind of not really a hedge, but slightly that
it's a hedge
way, and so it's looking pretty sad. But thank you very much.
Yeah, and if it was the winter, which probably was, that's really an anomaly because barberry are pretty darn hardy for the most part.
They are normally. Most, I think, are zone 4s, and some are zone 3s. But, I've noticed it all over. Yeah, the wind, for sure.
And the timing.
The wind, where these are located, it's on the edge of the roadway, and I think the wind just whistles up there, in January this year.
Yeah,
there we
they
go.
don't like the cold. All righty. Well, thanks
you so
much for calling.
And hopefully your barberries are going to recover.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Take care.
Good luck.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Time now for the tips and plants of the week. Well, my tip of the week is if you want to move some of your spring blooming bulbs, such as tulips and daffs, mark them now with a stick or a flag of some sort, so in July you'll know where they are when you want to dig them up. And that's the time to dig them out and put them aside.
If you need to move them.
If you have to move them. You can put them aside and then plant them in the fall, or plant them right away. If you want to move them, you can move them right away. My plant of the week is the Paul Scarlet Hawthorn, which is one of my favorite flowering trees. It's just gorgeous this year.
Yep, very nice. I also have a tip and a plant. My tip of the week is that this little bit of cold weather can be chilling to some of your vegetables that love to be warm, like we talked about tomatoes, and we were talking about eggplants and other plants that are just love warmth, peppers too. And so it's very quick to run out, make a little tent over them with some clear plastic, and that will give you some added heat through these chilly days. Hopefully it's not more than about a week long here, and we get back to some decent weather, a little bit warmer weather that is, and get those plants back on track. All right, and my plant of the week is the peonies, of course, which we're talking a lot about. The peonies are just coming into bloom, and what a gorgeous plant. One of my all-time favorites. I love them early ones, the late ones, the medium ones. My tree peonies, I did a video on my tree peonies, just a little short to put on YouTube just yesterday, I think it was. I just love those tree peonies. They don't last long, but do they ever knock your socks off? That's true eye candy, that's for sure. All right, that's my tips and plants for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com and Grower Coach on YouTube. Check out those tree peonies on YouTube Shorts.
Ken talked about patience this time, so is Dr. Shigo. Some predators are not very patient. They want to kill something now.
That's right, especially when they're hungry.
There you go. We'll see you next week with more of The Garden Show.